So you've just spent like 2 full weeks building recruiting materials for your daughter.
Right, which is a massive job.
Oh, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
I mean, you have meticulously put together this clean, professional flyer. You've organized a whole overview of her recent scores.
Yep.
You've crafted what feels like the absolute perfect outreach email. And then it's a Friday night in early April. You take a deep breath and you hit send to 30 different college gymnastics programs.
30 programs. I mean,
Oh.
for a family navigating those upper echelons of competitive club gymnastics, what we call level 8 through 10, that single click is huge.
It really is.
It represents literally years of financial investment, all that physically grueling work, and just, so much emotional energy.
Exactly. And so after you hit send, you wait. And then what happens?
Crickets.
Absolute silence. Nothing comes back. Days go by, then it's a week, then 2 weeks. Just complete and utter silence in the inbox.
Which is brutal.
It is. And for most families, that silence translates directly to rejection. Like they assume those 30 emails simply vanished into a void, And if a college coach didn't write back immediately, well, that program just isn't interested.
Yeah, it feels like a slammed door. But that assumption, the idea that silence equals rejection, it's actually a fundamental misunderstanding of how modern athletic recruiting works.
And clearing up that misunderstanding, that is our mission for this deep dive.
Absolutely.
Today, we're analyzing the exact mechanics of level 8 through 10 college gymnastics recruiting. We're pulling directly from a Matt 2 Metals script titled The Silent Signal.
It's such a good one.
It really is. And our goal here is to prove to you that silence is the absolute opposite of a void. Silence is actually active evaluation.
It's the defining mechanism of the process at this specific stage of an athlete's career. Like, when you actually understand what is happening on the other side of that screen, the silence makes complete sense.
Right. So to show you exactly what is happening behind the scenes, we're going to explore a real case study of a mother, Sally Smith, and her daughter, Ava.
A very classic scenario.
Totally. We're going to look at what was genuinely going on during that brutal, quiet waiting period they had in April. But to grasp why that silence is active evaluation, we first have to look at the technology.
The invisible infrastructure.
Yes, the tools college coaches rely on to do their jobs every single day.
Right, because there's a specific piece of software running this entire evaluation process behind the curtain. It's a recruiting management platform called
Front Rush, okay.
Yeah, and almost no gymnastics family has ever heard of it. But over 9,500 college teams use this platform.
Wow, 9,500.
It's massive. In gymnastics, it functions as this highly organized internal database of every single athlete a coach has ever noticed, complete with their own private evaluations.
When I read about the Front Rush workflow and the source material, the mechanics of it completely shifted my perspective.
Oh, it changes everything.
It does. So walk us through this step by step. Like what actually happens when a family, like Sally and Ava, sends that introductory email?
Okay, so when Sally hits send, the coach receives the email in their inbox. They open it, and, if there's a film link, they click it to watch Ava's routines.
Right.
But the critical part happens next. Before that coach even closes the browser tab or moves to the next email, they log the athlete into Front Rush.
Wait, immediately?
Immediately. So they aren't just watching and moving on, they are actively cataloging.
That's crazy.
They input the athlete's name, their high school graduation year, which is crucial for roster projections, by the way.
Right. They need to know when the spots open up.
Exactly. They put in the club gym, their geographic region, and recent scores. And most importantly, they add their own internal notes on the film they just watched.
So they're taking actual notes on the routine.
Yes. They might note her form on bars, the height of her vault block, or just her overall presentation. At that exact moment, the athlete is permanently in the college's system.
It's essentially a shadow profile.
That is the perfect way to describe it.
So the crucial takeaway for you listening right now is that your email did not disappear into a void. It created a permanent digital record in a secret filing cabinet that you will never have access to.
And a record that is absolutely vital to the coaching staff. But here's the thing. This database is not just a static folder where emails go to die.
Right.
It is a dynamic, living document. It updates continuously because Front Rush is primarily run on mobile devices.
On their phones.
Yes, on their phones.
Which means the evaluation never really stops. I mean, Coaches are sitting in the bleachers at major competitions, logging athletes right there from the stands.
Or they're sitting on their couches at 11 o'clock at night watching linked YouTube routines and updating these shadow profiles.
They are building highly detailed files on athletes who have absolutely no idea they are even on a radar.
They are constantly evaluating and ranking, which, it completely upends the traditional timeline families think they're operating on.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up.
Right.
Because if this database is running 24/7, where does the official recruiting timeline even fit in?
Right.
Because every single gymnastics family I talk to has June 15th circled in red on their calendar.
Oh, absolutely.
It's the date the NCAA legally allows coaches to actually start initiating contact, right? To call the
Well, it
athletes.
sets the legal contact date.
So because of that rule, parents naturally assume the recruiting window is closed before then. Like, why knock on a door if it's legally locked?
Yeah.
They view June 15th as the starting line.
And that is the most common and honestly the most damaging misconception in the sport.
Wow. Damaging.
Yes, because if we connect this back to how Front Rush actually functions, June 15th is not the start of a race. It is the result of a race that has already been run.
Because the shadow profiles are already built.
Exactly. By the time that mid-June date arrives, the coach's Front Rush list is already sorted. It's prioritized.
So who is at the top?
The athletes sitting at the very top of that list are the ones who have the most touch points in the system. They have the cleanest competition film. They have the strongest trajectory data logged over the previous 6 months. And they have the best notes from the staff.
Okay, I need to pause on the term trajectory data because that comes up a lot in the source material.
Yeah, it's a big one.
We aren't just talking about one lucky high score, are we? What does trajectory actually mean to a recruiter?
So trajectory is the upward trend of an athlete's development. Coaches are looking at the delta between where an athlete was in, say, January versus where they are in May.
It's about growth.
Right. Are they steadily improving their execution? Are they adding difficulty to their routines as the season progresses? Are they cleaning up specific form deductions?
Oh, okay.
Front Rush allows coaches to track that progression over time, and that proves an athlete is coachable and actively improving rather than just plateauing.
Okay, so if the coaches are heavily weighting this trajectory data
Yeah.
and they're organizing their lists long before they can legally call an athlete, what happens to the families who decide to play it safe?
Oh, the ones who wait.
Yeah, the ones who think, well, the coach can't talk to us anyway, so we'll just hold off and wait until June 15th to send our very first email.
The reality for those families is pretty stark. By waiting, they are choosing to introduce themselves on the absolute busiest day of the entire recruiting calendar.
Which is a nightmare.
And worse, they're introducing themselves to coaches who already have a completely full, prioritized list of athletes they have been tracking for months.
It's literally like walking into a theater 10 minutes after the movie started and expecting a front row seat. Like, all the spots are taken by the people who showed up during the previews.
That's a great analogy. If an athlete never sent any updates during the spring, if they never posted film, if they never went to a summer camp, they simply aren't in the Front Rush system at all.
Which is invisible.
Right. I mean, it's not legally impossible to get noticed after June 15th, but you are starting from zero while everyone else has a fully fleshed out file.
But wait, if a coach's list is basically locked by mid-June, and they aren't allowed to reply to emails from families during the spring, how do they even get the raw data to build these profiles if a family hasn't formally reached out yet?
So they rely on a system of passive discovery.
Passive discovery, okay.
College coaches have 4 distinct channels they use to track and evaluate athletes before a family ever hits send on that first outreach email.
And the first one mentioned in the Matt Two Metals script is NCSA.
Yes, NCSA.
I think a lot of families know the acronym, but they might not realize how heavily it's actually utilized on the back end.
NCSA stands for Next College Student Athlete. It is a massive, standardized recruiting database. You can really think of it as the foundational search engine for college coaches.
Like Google for recruiting.
Exactly. Athletes build profiles containing their competition film, their scores, their high school graduation year, and their academic info like GPA and test scores.
So coaches are just logging in and filtering by their specific roster needs, like show me level 10 gymnasts graduating in 2028 with a 3.5 GPA or higher in the Midwest.
That is exactly how they use it, and the fundamental rule of NCSA is visibility.
Right.
Without a profile, or with an incomplete one that lacks updated film or academic data, an athlete is completely invisible to a coach running those specific search filters.
Okay, so NCSA is the bedrock. But what if a gymnast had a great NCSA profile, but they haven't uploaded new film in, like, 6 months?
The data gets stale. How do coaches fill in the real-time gaps during the actual competition season? That brings us to the second channel. They monitor live meet results.
Ah, score tracking.
Yes, college coaches track regional and national score updates with the same intensity that a fantasy sports player tracks weekly player stats.
That's so true.
They use online score tracking platforms to monitor major meets across the entire country.
The script specifically mentions how a single score can trigger an evaluation. For instance, a 9.4 on bars at regionals.
Yep.
Why that specific number? Like, what does a 9.4 actually signal to a college coach?
Well, in level 10, a 9.4 is a critical benchmark. It tells a coach two things immediately. First, the routine likely has the required start value.
Meaning they have the difficulty.
Right, meaning the athlete possesses the core skills necessary for college-level gymnastics. Second, it indicates execution.
Because you can't fake a 9.4.
Exactly. You don't score a 9.4 if you have major form breaks, falls, or excessive deductions. So a coach sees that 9.4 on bars, they know the foundation is solid, they open front rush, and they start a file on that athlete right then and there.
Wow. They're hunting for specific puzzle pieces for their roster. And if they see that 9.4 on a score tracker, they aren't just going to take the judge's word for it, right? They want visual proof.
Always.
Which leads right into the third channel,
Mhm.
social media, specifically Instagram.
Instagram is arguably the most active passive discovery tool. Coaches search specific gymnastics hashtags, they follow the public accounts of prominent club gyms, and they closely monitor individual athlete profiles.
Especially after big meets, right?
Oh, absolutely. Especially in the days immediately following a big meet like regionals or nationals.
But what are they actually looking for when they scroll through a high schooler's Instagram reel? It can't just be about whether they stuck the landing.
The landing is part of it, but they are evaluating the entire package. Yes, they are looking at form, toe point, leg separation, the amplitude of the skills, but they are also watching the background of the video.
The background, like what?
How does the athlete react after a mistake? Are they cheering for their teammates in the background? What is their body language when interacting with their club coach?
Wow, so they're looking at character cues.
Completely. A clean, professional, recruiting-ready Instagram profile acts as a 24/7 billboard.
It's working around the clock. Your daughter's profile is essentially interviewing for a spot on the team while your family is asleep.
It really is.
So NCSA is the baseline. Beat scores are the trigger, and Instagram is the visual proof. But what about character? What about work ethic? That brings us to the fourth channel, which relies entirely on human connection.
Right, the club gym coach referral.
Yes.
The recruiting ecosystem relies heavily on peer-to-peer networks. College coaches regularly call club coaches they trust to get the unvarnished truth about an athlete.
Because, I mean, an email from a parent saying, my daughter's a hard worker, is expected. Obviously, you're going to say that.
Of course.
But a phone call from a fellow professional saying she never misses a 6 a.m. practice and leads the team in conditioning, that carries actual weight.
It validates all the digital data with a trusted character reference. A club coach who can confidently speak to an athlete's trajectory, their injury history, and their locker room presence that can open doors with a single phone call that a family email simply never could.
So when you look at all four of these channels, NCSA, meet results, Instagram, and gym coach referrals, the overarching theme here is that evaluation is cumulative. It is never just one thing. The smartest families build a consistent presence across all four areas because every single touch point reinforces the others.
Think about the flow. A coach sees the 9.4 at regionals. That prompts them to search Instagram, where they see clean film and great teammate interactions in the background. Then they check NCSA to ensure the academic profile aligns with their university's standards. Finally, they get the introductory email from the family. Every step validates the previous one and enriches the front rush file.
Which brings us perfectly back to our case study of Sally and Ava Smith. Remember, Sally spent 2 weeks crafting materials, sent 30 emails in early April, and heard absolutely nothing in return.
Just crickets.
She spent the entire spring wondering if the process was broken or if Ava simply wasn't good enough.
Which is so common. The silent season induces an incredible amount of anxiety for families because they feel like they are operating in a vacuum.
But then, June 15th finally arrives. The NCAA contact window officially opens. And within days, not weeks, but days, The very same college coaches who had seemingly ignored Sally's emails in April began flooding Ava's inbox with replies.
And the nature of those replies is what proves the mechanics of the silent season.
Yes, because these were not generic copy and paste form letters saying thanks for your interest in our program. They were highly specific. Let's look at the details from the source material. One college coach specifically referenced Ava's regional's bar routine in their email.
Right, which proves they had tracked her meet scores, found the routine on Instagram or YouTube, evaluated the skill level, and logged it in their system.
Another coach explicitly brought up Ava's academic focus. They knew what she wanted to study.
Meaning they had cross-referenced her introductory email with her NCSA profile to evaluate her academic eligibility.
Exactly. And a third coach didn't just ask how his spring went. They already had Ava's entire score progression pulled up, and they actively asked her about her summer training plans based on how her scores had trended upward.
They had been tracking her trajectory data for months.
They already knew everything. Before Ava even had a chance to formally introduce herself on the phone, her shadow profile was fully constructed. The silence she experienced in April wasn't rejection.
Not at all.
It was the sound of heavy, active scrutiny. The coaches were evaluating, verifying, and ranking her.
It requires a complete paradigm shift for families. When you truly understand that silence is evaluation, the waiting period stops being a void of anxiety and starts being a window of opportunity.
Because you can actively manage how you are being evaluated.
Exactly.
So if we know coaches are evaluating in silence right now, what direct actions should a family take to use this system to their advantage? Based on the Mat 2 Metals script, there's a very specific 3-step strategy to execute during the silent season.
Right. So the first directive is counterintuitive, but absolutely essential. Send the emails anyway.
Yes.
You must send your outreach emails during the spring, even if you know with absolute certainty that NCAA rules prevent the coach from replying.
Because if you don't send the email, you aren't supplying the raw data for the shadow profile. You have to initiate the file.
Exactly.
So what is the second step?
Maintain your digital presence. This means keeping her NCSA profile and her Instagram meticulously current. And current means uploading skills and routines from this competition season, not last year's highlights.
It also means updating her GPA after the semester ends.
Right.
And making sure her Instagram bio clearly states her graduation year, her club gym, and includes a direct link to her NCSA profile or YouTube channel.
Yes, you have to remove any friction for a coach trying to find information. You must be instantly findable.
Okay, and the third step.
The third step is to actively leverage the gym coach. Families need to loop their club coach into the recruiting process early. You should share your target list of colleges with them and have a direct conversation about their existing network.
You want to ask them if they have relationships with the coaching staffs at any of those specific programs, and if they would be willing to initiate a coach-to-coach conversation on your daughter's behalf.
By doing so, you are proactively providing that verified peer reference that carries so much weight in the evaluation process.
When you combine those 3 actions, sending the emails to build a file, maintaining a pristine digital presence to remain findable, and leveraging the gym coach for verification, you are suddenly operating on a completely different level.
Oh, completely.
Families who execute these steps during the silent season are actively shaping the evaluation process, while everyone else is just sitting around waiting for June 15th to arrive.
They are controlling the narrative of the shadow profile even when they can't speak directly to the evaluators.
This changes everything about how you should approach the spring competition season. And look, if you want to dig deeper into the mechanics of this process, you need to utilize the Mat 2 Metals resources.
Definitely.
Head over to their website, mat2metals.com. Let me spell that out so you have it exactly right. It is M-A-T, the number 2, MEBDLS.com.
And while you're on the site, you should absolutely download the free deductions cheat sheet. It covers levels 8 through 10 across all 4 events.
It's so helpful.
It really is. It helps you understand exactly what judges and, by extension, college coaches are deducting for when they evaluate those competition videos.
It is an incredibly valuable resource.
Yeah.
You will also see information there about the Founder's Pass.
Right. So the Founder's Pass grants you access to every single paid deep dive being built out through the end of 2026.
And speaking of deep dives, you are not going to want to miss our next one.
Oh, the next one is going to be eye-opening.
We're going to look specifically at the visual aspect of passive discovery. We are breaking down what college coaches actually see when they land on your daughter's Instagram profile.
We will analyze the digital footprint, looking at the specific cues that immediately catch a recruiter's eye.
And more importantly, We will discuss the subtle things in those videos that might be quietly hurting her chances without your family even realizing it.
Which, leaves us with a final thought to consider today.
Yeah.
If college coaches are out there gathering everything from your academic focus to your trajectory data to your meet scores without ever speaking a single word to you, how much of your recruiting story is already permanently written in a
Yeah.
coach's mind, sitting there in a shadow profile based purely on your digital footprint before you've even had the chance to say hello?
Wow. It definitely makes you rethink what it means when an inbox goes quiet. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.